Welcome. Please, have a seat. Now, can you state your full name for the record? Alrighty, and date of birth? Hair color, eye color, height and weight. Alrighty, everything seems to check out. Like I said, please have a seat. You won't be going anywhere for a while. Now, if I may be so frank as to ask, do you know why you're here? No, I suppose you wouldn't, would you? They took you, didn't they? From your house in the middle of the night, just like they always do. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. I never approve of their actions when they do things like this, but it's unfortunately a necessary evil. You wouldn't understand that, though. And by the end of this, I doubt you really will, regardless. But that's not important. And who I am isn't important. What's more important is what I do. And who you are. No. I meant what you're capable of. Again, it's something I don't believe you understand, but by the end of this, you will. And unfortunately, that probably means you'll come to resent me. But that's all right. Most people who walk through that door come to resent me. Again, it's something I just have to accept for what it is. There's nothing I can do to change that. Now, do you remember the night of March 20th, 2015? Yes, the night of the recording you took and posted online. The one with that mysterious cryptid? Ah, yes. I think you're starting to get it now. That's why you're here. That's why most of the people like you end up here. It's rather unfortunate, but there's little that can be done. See, that cryptid you saw, the one you took the recording of, it's technically not what you think it is. Well, it is, but it isn't. Does that make sense? I always hate this part. It's complicated to explain, but I'll do my best. See, technically speaking, there's a world beyond what most people can perceive. It's a world that at best can be described as nightmarish. The comprehension that humans have couldn't even begin to understand this world. That's why when beings from that world enter ours, very much like the cryptid you saw, our minds perceive them as warped, disfigured, large, disturbing beings that, well, look like they could rip us to shreds. And that's because they can. And oddly enough, they're not the ones that you should really be afraid of. I know, I just said that they look like they can rip us to shreds, and I said that you shouldn't, but I swear it makes sense if you know as much as I do, but you don't, so what can you do? What I mean is, the ones that take on the monstrous forms aren't as frightening as the ones that can pass as humans. What I mean by that is the serial killers in the world, the people that can hack apart a person without flinching or feeling any sense of, goodness, what would the best word be? Of a conscience, I guess? Cannibals, people that can decimate and destroy people to a level that should be monstrous in its own right. Those people aren't actually humans. They're beings from that side, and what's most frightening is that most don't even realize it. they can masquerade as us to the point where they believe they're people. They can pass as humans in this world, and it's difficult to say, but it's the job of my organization to track them down and take them out. We're here to protect humanity as best as possible from the beings that enter from that side of the world, and it's extremely difficult to do so, especially with people like you around. Unfortunately, that brings us to why you're here. See, what separates our world from their world could more or less be considered like a veil of some sort. A barrier? It's complicated, but I assure you it makes sense in some settings. But see, that barrier, it can be weakened by people like you. Now, it's hard to really understand why, but people like you can draw these monsters to you. That's why when you go to certain places like abandoned buildings or the forest you were in, that cryptid appeared. Your presence there was able to weaken the barrier enough to where it was able to force itself through, and it was able to come to our side. Once they're here, other people can see them, but you're what drew it here in the first place. I'm sorry to tell you this, but you're too dangerous to be kept alive. I know it isn't fair, but imagine if we had people like you running around the world and we didn't deal with those people. The barrier would weaken in those points where you existed, and more of these monstrous beings would come through to the point where the barrier could completely be destroyed. And their world and our world would mix and mesh together, and humanity would be wiped out. There's no way we could survive something like that. There's no way anyone could. That's why you were brought here. After we've confirmed everything, you being the person you were, that the recording that you posted online was actually true, that you had the same energy that the other people who have come before you had, you're going to be killed. I'm so sorry that it's come to this. I really wish it didn't. I really wish it never did. It's always hard having to deal with this. And I have no right to be sad. After all, I'm not the one that's going to... Yeah. I understand that you're upset, but unfortunately there's nothing else that can be done now. We've done everything we had to confirm that you're one of them. Even if you try to attack me, I can assure you, you won't be making it out of this building alive. There's no sense in it. What's going to happen next is that there are going to be two men that come into the room and take you to the lower floors of the facility. In the lower floors, there are a couple of different machines that they're going to hook you up to. Basically, what will happen then is that you'll be placed into a simulation. And in that simulation, you'll be able to experience a full life. It may not be comforting, but you'd be able to experience what the rest of your life would have been like. And it'll be a good life, I promise. We aren't monsters here. What we do is because we have to do it, not because we want to. While you're in the simulation, they'll start up another machine that'll begin to fry your brain. And as the simulation comes to an end, you'll basically be brain dead. It won't hurt. I promise it won't hurt. And I know it's not comforting, but it's all I can give you. I am sorry that this had to happen. Truly I am. I take no joy in this. It's a hollow and bitter feeling, I assure you. But it's what we have to do. After all, what's one life weighed against the many, many other lives of the people in the world? There's nothing else that can be done. For what it's worth, again, I'm sorry. And I hope you'll find peace in the next life. Goodbye.